There are people who pray every day, yet still feel empty. It's not a lack of faith. It's that no one ever taught them there are 5 levels of prayer. And most people die stuck in the first one. If you're honest, you know this. You've knelt down, said the right words, closed your eyes, repeated phrases you learned as a child. But inside, something whispers. Why do I feel like I'm talking and nothing happens? Why do I feel like God is far away when I pray? And maybe, deep down, you've even wondered if there's something wrong with you. It's not that God is far. It's not that God stopped listening. It's that no one showed you the full map. I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to sit with you in that place where you pray in silence. When you turn off the light, when you sigh, tired, and say, God, if you're there, please answer me. Today, I want to show you something most people will never hear in their entire lives. The 5 levels of prayer that activate real answers from God in your story. And as we go, you're going to discover which level you're in, and how to finally leave level 1 once and for all. Stay with me until the end, not because this video needs it, but because your life of prayer has been asking for this for a long time. Imagine one more night, you're alone, the house is quiet. You sit in the same place as always. You say the same words as always. You feel the same tiredness as always. You finish quickly. You stand up with a strange feeling. I did my duty, but I didn't connect. I spoke, but I wasn't heard. I asked, but I don't know if anyone was really there. That feeling is not you normalizing the distance. It's your spirit saying, there is more. You are not created to pray on autopilot. And here is the deep part. God has been wanting to take you higher for a long time. He doesn't play hide and seek. But he also doesn't force anyone to climb. So before I show you these 5 levels, I want you to something simple if this is already touching something inside you. Write 1 sentence with your own hands in the comments as a declaration. God, I don't want to stay in level 1. It's not to fill space. It's symbolic. It's your way of saying, I'm going to take this seriously. Now, let's go to that map no one ever explained to you. The first level is the most common. It's empty routine prayer. It's when you pray because you're supposed to pray. Because it's the habit before sleeping, before eating, before leaving home. You say, thank you for this day. Take care of us. Bless this. There's nothing wrong with being thankful. There's nothing wrong with asking for protection. The problem is not the words. It's the place they're coming from. At this level, prayer is quick, rushed, distracted. You do it while looking at your phone, while thinking about other things, while your heart is anywhere except in God's presence. It's a safe prayer, correct, but shallow. As if you were talking to someone extremely important and never once looked them in the eyes. Many feel at peace here because at least I pray. But inside, they're the same. Old guilt, open wounds, unanswered questions. And then they think, maybe that's just how it is. Maybe prayer is just something you do. No, that's the lie that keeps multitudes stuck. If you recognize yourself in this, don't condemn yourself. We all pass through here. But you were not designed to stay trapped in level 1. If you stay here too long, prayer becomes a burden, not an encounter. A requirement, not a living conversation. Now listen closely, because here's the first turning point. As you start to understand this level, God begins to push you toward the next. The second level is intense petition prayer. It's when you discover you can ask God for help. You start talking to Him about your battles, your debts, your fears, your health, your family. Here you cry. Here you plead. Here you pour out what's breaking you, and God listens. God leans down. Many times, God answers with mercy, even while you're just learning how to come close. But there's something no one told you. If your entire prayer life stays only in asking, you risk turning God into a fire alarm. You only run to Him when everything is collapsing. When there's pain, when there's panic, when everything feels out of control. At this level, your prayer is real. It's sincere, but it's fragile. Because if God answers quickly, you're encouraged. If he doesn't answer how you expected, you're frustrated. You start to measure God's love by the speed of his responses. And that wears your heart down. Here is where many quit completely. They say, I asked and saw nothing. I'd rather stop praying. They don't know there are higher levels where prayer stops being just give me, help me, rescue me, and becomes something infinitely deeper. Hear this with honesty. God has no problem with your requests. God knows your needs before you open your mouth. But his dream with you is bigger than being your emergency exit. He wants to be your daily companion, your constant refuge, your guide, your confidence. And that leads us to the next level. Before we move on, stop for a second and think. When was the last time you talked to God without asking for anything? Just to tell him what you feel, what you love, what you fear, what you want to surrender? If that question makes you uncomfortable, stay, because this message is tearing out the shallow version of prayer you've carried for years. The third level is prayer of relationship and intimacy. Here, something shifts inside you. You begin to understand it's not only about talking and not only about asking. It's about being with him. You begin to come to God not as a formula, but as a real person who loves you more than you can understand. At this level, your words become more honest. You say, God, today I feel broken. Today I'm afraid. Today I don't understand anything, but I want to be with you. And you stay a little longer. Instead of running away right after amen, you pause. You breathe. You sit in the silence. You tell him about your day, like someone sitting with a close friend at the end of a heavy day. Here you're no longer trying to impress anyone with fancy words. No scripts. No mask. There is vulnerability. And vulnerability opens a door that religion never can. You begin to sense God there, not as an idea, but as a real presence holding your soul. Little by little, your room, your living room, your bed, your workplace become places where, at any moment, you can say, God, you're here with me, right? And even if your eyes see nothing, something inside you answers. A weight lifts. A peace comes in. A conviction rises. It's not cheap emotion. It's the awareness that you are not alone. This level changes how you see every day. It's no longer just about asking for help in emergencies. You talk to God while you walk, while you drive, while you do simple things. You include him. And as you include him, your heart becomes more aligned. What you used to carry alone, you now share. What you used to hide, you now expose before him. But even this beautiful level is not the final destination, because there is something deeper. Not just talking to God, but learning to listen to God. Here we open another important loop. If you've stayed only in talking and never learned how to recognize when God answers, the next level can change your path forever. Stay with me. The fourth level is prayer of listening and alignment. This is where you learn that prayer is not a monologue. It's an encounter. You no longer just empty your heart. Now you make room to perceive his. Don't wait for a theatrical voice shaking the room. Usually, it's not like that. Most of the time, God's voice is perceived as a gentle conviction that cuts through confusion. Like a clear light in the middle of the noise. Like a phrase that repeats inside you with a peace that is not yours. Like a word you find at the exact moment when you open Scripture. Like a direction that gets confirmed again and again in ways you could never orchestrate on your own. At this level, your prayers become slower and deeper. You say, God, what do you think about this? Show me what I don't see. Correct what is twisted inside me, even if it hurts. And then, you stay quiet. That silence is no longer awkward. It's sacred. You begin to notice some doors you wanted are closing, And though before you would get upset, now you sense, God is protecting me from something. Suddenly, an idea you never had before rises strong in your heart. A name comes to mind to call. A place you were about to go now feels clearly wrong. That sensitivity is not random imagination. It is the fruit of learning to listen. This is where many who love God start to live guided, not driven. They no longer move only by fear, impulse, or pressure. They start walking with calm and purpose. Prayer becomes exciting because you no longer feel like you're throwing words into the air. You start to see connections. You start saying things like, I don't understand everything, but I feel God is leading me. And still, this is not the highest level. There is a fifth level where prayer stops being only a refuge, a request, or a conversation, and becomes a living alliance with God's purpose. Before we step into that, I want to give you a practical key so you stay with me. If up to now something inside you is saying, this is me, this is what I've lived, this is what I need, don't shut this off. Go until the end. And if you want us to keep building content that truly awakens your spiritual life, stay, share your experience, and send this to someone you know is praying on autopilot. Don't keep this just for yourself. The fifth level is prayer of alliance with God. This is when you stop seeing God only as the one who rescues you, listens to you, or comforts you, and you recognize him as the center of your story. Here's something powerful happens. Your prayers begin to change not only your inner world, but the world around you. At this level, your main request is no longer, do my will, but teach me to walk in yours. You begin to ask, God, what do you want to do with my life? Who do you want me to speak to today? Who do you want me to pray for when no one is watching? Where do you want me to be light? And when you do this, you begin to feel specific burdens, names, situations, places. That burden is not destructive anxiety. It's loving responsibility. You begin to pray not only for your own problem, but for broken people, for homes on the edge of collapse, for generations coming after you. No cameras, no applause, no stage. Just you and God, moving things in the unseen that others don't even suspect. Your words, aligned with God's heart, start to carry weight. Because they are no longer personal whims wrapped in pretty phrases. They are agreements with his eternal purpose. And when someone lives at this level, it shows. Not because they shout louder when they pray, but because their life reflects something different. Consistency, authority, gentleness, firmness, deep love. Here you understand something crucial. Prayer is not just to survive the day. It's to bring light where there is darkness, comfort where there are tears, direction where there is chaos. God is looking for people who refuse to use him only as a last resort, and instead want to walk with him, think with him, and carry some of what he carries. Now that you've seen these 5 levels, stop and ask yourself with complete honesty. Right now, which level are you living in? Level 1, repeated words. Level 2, you only come when it hurts. Level 3, you feel him close, but still struggle to listen. Level 4, you're beginning to discern his voice. Or are you stepping into level 5, where your prayers become an alliance with his will? Don't answer quickly. Answer truthfully. That truth can be the beginning of a deep transformation. I want to walk with you beyond theory, because it is useless to know the levels if you finish this video and pray the same way as always. So let me guide you into something practical, simple, and very deep. Think about your next prayer today. If you've been living in level 1, break the routine. Choose a place. Turn off distractions. Don't repeat just to repeat. Tell God in your own words, I'm tired of praying on autopilot. I want to truly know you. Stay a few seconds longer than usual. Keep your heart open, even if you feel clumsy. That is already a step up. If you usually live in level 2, where your prayers are lists of emergencies, add one change today. Before asking, talk to God, about how you feel. Tell him what you fear, what hurts, what shames you. Don't hide what he already sees. After you ask, say, I don't just want solutions. I want to learn to walk with you. That is also going higher. If you already feel God close, but don't recognize his guidance, start doing something concrete. When you finish talking, stay silent for a moment and ask, what do I need to correct? Who do I need to forgive? What decision in my life does not honor what you want for me? Then pay attention to the first clear convictions that align with truth and with good. That's where your spiritual hearing starts tuning. And if you feel God is calling you to alliance, start asking, who do you want me to pray for today, even if they never find out? Where do you want to use me quietly? It's likely that a face, a situation, a nation, a family will come to mind. Don't brush it off. Pray. Persist. Be faithful. There you're stepping into a dimension where you leave a mark without chasing recognition. Now let me give you a clear invitation. If this message is stirring something inside you, don't ignore it. There are moments in life when God speaks louder than usual, not with noise, but with precision. This could be one of those moments. And the difference between staying the same or going up a level is what you do after hearing this. So I'm asking you to do something specific. When this video ends, don't walk away with just information. Before you leave, write in the comments which level you've been living in and which level you decide to step into starting today. Don't do it for me. Do it as a public act of decision, as a witness to what God is about to start in you. If at any point you felt God wasn't listening, I want you to remember this. He has seen every tear, every night, every frustrated prayer. He has never mocked your search. He has been calling you deeper, but no one showed you how. Today you have a map. Now your response is what's missing. And if this message spoke to you, if it gave you language for things you couldn't explain, don't let it get lost in your watch later folder. Share it with that person you know is praying on autopilot, who feels far, who thinks God no longer responds. This might be the call they've been waiting for. If you want to keep walking with us on this real journey, without masks, where we talk about God with truth, depth, and hope, subscribe and turn on the notifications. Not to inflate a number, but to have a constant space where we learn together to leave level 1 and live a life of prayer that truly activates answers, transforms decisions, and heals stories. Now, right where you are, if you can, close your eyes for a moment, not to repeat, but to listen with your heart. God, look at the person on the other side of this screen. You know their attempts, their silence, their guilt, their exhaustion. You know how many times they felt like they were praying into the void. Today, I ask you, take this life and lead them deeper. Break empty routine. Heal the wounded heart. Open their inner ears to recognize when you speak. Take them from emergency prayers to a daily relationship, from relationship to listening, and from listening to walking with you in alliance. Let their prayers from today on be not just words, but real encounters with you. And through this life, let many others know that you still answer. Amen. If you made it this far, you're not someone who accepts living in level 1. You're part of those who choose to go higher with God. Write it. Share it. And next time you pray, remember, you're not throwing phrases into the air. You're stepping, level by level, into the place where God answers, guides, corrects, embraces, and sends.